statement from the Union County Education Association.
As the numbers of the sickness died down, I noticed it's notable, we still have people getting sick at school and going home. Has that number sort of settled down, or is it just on the rise and decreasing slowly, or holding its own?
Student numbers are doing fairly well. Staff numbers are not doing as well as we wish they were, but we're still hanging on.
In the safe side? Well, 2 years ago, you know, when we had COVID going around and everybody wore masks, remember in the spring, the state of Tennessee put out that there was only 14 confirmed cases of the flu that year. So that's something to think about, because it does keep things from spreading around. I noticed that the substitute teachers might want a raise. Is there any money available for anybody else or everybody else? Or how's the budget going about raises?
We haven't considered them since I've been interim.
And how far along is the process to start interviewing for the directorship?
That's on the agenda, it'll be discussed shortly.
And I noticed on the calendar that the spring calendar has gone back to, I think, about the 9 weeks instead of being pushed back later than it used to be. You know, like last year or this year, but when it came to spring break, I think we went, instead of the 9 weeks, I think we went 13 weeks or whatever else, and that's hard. But I'm glad to see that next year it's about where it should be, I believe. Thank you.
Item number 2, school board attorney update. Ms. Stackhouse, do you have an update?
Nothing new to report.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3, do we have any special recognition or announcements, Dr. Lee?
Very few, I'll make it short. I placed in front of you, we have once again been recognized as the best throughout district. And I gave you information on that you can read. Also, I gave you a copy of the final auditor's report for the internal school general accounts. And there are some findings. There is nothing significant. And we have submitted, and it has been accepted, a correction action plan for those.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Item number 4, discuss school trips. Dr. Nancy, do you want to speak to those?
I will. There are 2 Butler Elementary School's 4th grade, 25 students to Charlottesville, Virginia to visit Monticello, and to Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia, and Yorktown, Virginia, May the 22nd through the 25th, 2023. And that will be sponsored by Cheryl Healy and Allison Kingsley. And then all of our elementary schools, and it varies depending on the schools, all of them will be sending 13 students, except one will be sending 15 to the Ropo shopping spree. And what the Ropo shopping spree is, Ropo is a fishing tournament, and they raise funds during their tournament, and they take those funds and they divide them out to students that are in poverty in our area schools. And they allow the school to pick a certain number per school to participate in the shopping spree. And they have a set amount to spend. I think it used to be $125 per child, and they had to spend so much on clothing. And then they had an additional amount of that they can spend for gifts for their families. And that will be, it'll be every elementary school. It'll be on December the 7th, 2022.
Very good. Any questions or comments? If not, moving to item number 5, discuss contracts. Ms. Brown.
Good evening, everybody. There's 3 contracts tonight. The first one is Mitchell Hill and Emmerich, and it's for the cafeteria audit. It is for $3,400, and it's a 1-year contract. The second one is the TDR Run Stage, which involves no money, but it is a dual enrollment contract that we have with Rome State. And I understand that there may be some issues with this as it's a 5-year contract, which we don't normally go that long. And also, Dr. Lindsay has advised me that the Stackhouse, has advised him that there may be a conflict with Walker State. So I don't know if you all want to vote on that tonight or not, I wanted to give you all the information.
The concern is we have been in a dual contract with Walker State for years for dual credit services. And we don't want to enter into another contract that will somehow interfere with the one that we've had for years with Walker State. So that's something we need to check out to be sure. Plus, we did discuss it with the Stackhouse that it's a 5-year contract and we generally never go. Matter of fact, since our policy, we need to go above 4. So we'll have to get with them and ensure that those two things won't be a problem.
Okay, we want to bring that back before we go to the next meeting.
And then the third contract I have is the RCD contract, which stands for Responsibility Centered Discipline. And this is the second year that we would be involved with this. We're in year 1 in this fiscal year. The amount for it is $34,035 and it's a 1-year term.
Any questions or comments with that? If not, Missy Brown, can you take item 6, the director's monthly report, budget amendments and transfers?
Okay. You all should have the reports in your packet, and you will see that all of our spending is well within the range for this time of the budget year. But I'll be happy to entertain any questions if anyone has.
One thing I saw that stood out was the ending balance of the 142 fund. Will that be catching up over the next
That
period?
fund, as you know, is a reimbursable fund, so we have to spend the money before we get it back. And we anticipated this year with the large ESSER grants that there would be some times that it would get really close if we spent a lot. So that's why we moved that extra money over into 142. We have $1 million buffer in there to cover that, but as you can see, with the large spending on ESSER, we came very close to that this month. And the reason being is that we were in the process of getting the 2 ESSER grants approved through E-Plan, which took a little longer than anticipated, so we could not ask for the reimbursement. But as of November, all reimbursements have been requested and that balance should go back up. But it will be something to consider if we start any more major projects that we may need to make that buffer a little more, because what that does is that this gives us a little leeway between spending and the time that we get the reimbursement back from E-Plan.
Gotcha, thank you.
Let me ask you a question about the Mitchell, your cafeteria. Is that something that we have to do? We've done this before?
Yes. Yes.
I think that is approving the contract for their upcoming audit for the school year that was ending June 30th.
Yes.
The report you have provided us is probably findings from the last audit.
It is. Yeah, let me clarify that. Yes, the findings are from the audit that ended fiscal year June 30th, 2022. And that was the school general purpose funds that the school offices maintain. Contract that the master approved is for the school cafeteria funds. And they have to be done separately every year. And somebody has to do them. I mean, it's just a choice of who you choose to do them. We used Mitchell Emerson Field for several years.
That's something that we do.
That is correct.
No further questions, I'll move on to the budget amendments. Page 1 of 7, actually 1 through 2 of 7, is Fund 141, the general purpose schools. These budget amendment requests are to amend the budget for refunded services by other entities. And I think this is maybe the first time you've all seen this, but we were asked by audit, we get refunded each month when the schools use a service, and they have to refund the Board of Education for for some of their services. So we get checks for those. And always before we had done journal entries, but they requested that we start doing budget amendments, so we started that this year. But all of those are just where the schools have refunded Board of Education out of their activity funds. And that's usually to pay for SROs for security and to pay custodians for extra cleanup and things of that nature. But we'll have those probably every month from now on. And then the other budget amendments are transfers funding within the appropriate budget to lower the allocation received for the SRO grant. Any questions? I'll move on to page 3 through 7, which is Fund 142.
Let me ask you a quick question there. This is 141. The net budget change is a reduction,
Yes.
and then I guess that's the revenue you're showing directly below that.
Right. Because the money we get paid back from the schools go into these revenue funds, the 44170 and the 43570, and that is where we deposit that money into, so we have to take it out of those lines to put it into our budget. So it's when we receive the check from the school, we will deposit it into these revenue funds, and then we will do this budget amendment to remove it from the revenue funds and insert it back into the expenditure lines.
Okay.
And then the other one is at the one at the very top for the SRO. That one is where the grant that we normally receive is called the SAFE grant, or no, this is called the School Resource Officer grant. And the funding for that was cut this year, so we had to lower the amount that we had entered in at budget time, because we entered it in exactly as we received it last year, and then we found out that it was lower, so we had to correct the budget.
Okay.
Okay, on the top of page 3 is Fund 142, that's Fund 101. This transfer request is to move funds to necessary lines within the budget for program funding. Bottom of page 3 is Subfund 201, and this transfer is to line local government living plan. Top of page 4 is Subfund 301. This budget amendment is to enter into budget carryover fund. Bottom of page 4 is Subfund 701. Budget amendment is to enter into budget for the current year. Top of page 5 is Subfund 901, and this transfer request is to move funds to necessary lines within the budget. Bottom of page 5 is Subfund 911, and this transfer request is to move funds to necessary lines within the budget. Top of page 6 is Subfund 930. This budget amendment request is to budget current year funding. Same on the bottom of page 6, except for Subfund 936, and it is also the budget current year funds. Top of page 7 is Subfund 939, and this is the budget current year funds. And the bottom of page 7 is Subfund 941, and this is also the budget current year funds. Any questions on 142? Thank you all very much.
Moving on to item number 7, personnel update, teacher tenure. Okay, Susan Oaks.
You should have in your information the positions that have changed in the last month. Certified resignations, non-certified, new hires, both certified and non-certified, and a couple of transfers to the jail stuff. Any questions on this? Move on to tenure. So tenure, you have a list of those teachers who are eligible for your approval. We also got the scores from the 21-22 school year in, so we were able to add a few teachers that qualify. So those are there for your approval. And Dr. Mincy can probably speak more to this, but federal programs requires that we notify parents. And we have a teacher, Ronnie, do you want to
Yes.
tell them your program?
Yes, the federal law requires us to notify parents of students who have teachers that are teaching out of their area of certification. And that was the second page of the personnel page. And it's required that we do this every year. And that has been done. Those letters have gone out.
So as of 15 minutes before the meeting starts, I checked some of our outstanding transactions, and so we have had everything approved as far as our permits and waivers, except for we're waiting on approval for one permit, and then we have one out-of-state license that is still processing. Everything else has been approved by the state license office.
Hey, going back to the 10-year list, two questions. Is it, is director's recommendation, board approves
Yes.
teachers?
Yes, they have met the requirements to receive tenure.
Thank you. My second question, one of those teachers shows to not have been evaluated this most recent school year. Can you describe or explain what the details are?
So he was actually eligible to be granted tenure prior to, and tenure has been postponed until now. And so he is now in the non-evaluated role. He is in the special education role, which is not, but he had the qualifications prior to that.
Okay, thank you.
Susan, the second question is for Sean Roberts. The school says single, what is it?
Countywide.
Any other questions, comments?
Are we going to vote individually on these names, or do we just vote to approve?
Typically vote to approve the list,
And that's
but it could be done either way.
right. You can list the names.
I had a question regarding John Gray. I see that this is not here. Has he been brought before for tenure? Has his status changed to medical eligible?
Unfortunately, we had a principal several years ago when Ryan should have been evaluated that did not evaluate him. That went on for 2 years because all of his evaluations weren't completed. And so it had effect on him where he's had to wait. So as soon as we learned that, we let it go. And then I think the last thing on my part is upload, which we talked about in the workshop. And it's just having you all sign off on that agreement. Again, it was approved in August, but since we have a couple of the board members and the interim director, we would like for you all to do your share.
Actually, Ms. Oaks, I'd like to defer that to December
Okay.
because I didn't think you were going to be able to be here tonight. So I wanted to bring it up when you were here.
Okay, I thought it was on.
It's on the agenda, but I never quite got around to, when I thought you weren't going to be here, I didn't upload any of the documentation for it. So if it's okay, we'll bring that stuff back to you. So, sorry about that, Susan. I thought I explained that to you, but go read back to it.
Thanks. Moving on to item 8, the Lewis Group Architects called and they had some illness within their staff and they were not able to come tonight. I do know that they have been meeting, had at least 1 or 2 meetings with Dr. Cooper, Dr. since our last board meeting. I've not been close to those, but I do understand they're continuing to work through floor plan adjustments, trying to get the room arrangements, adjacencies of those rooms, as appropriate as possible. Also understand Dr. Kilgore went with the Lewis group and toured another area school to get a feel for the different practices and the way that they're using their spaces. I don't know if Dr. Kilgore or Dr. Nancy would want to provide any updates in their absence tonight, but I'll also add that they have talked about trying to go before the county commission with just a general progress update in the near future. But, and they talked about doing that maybe at the end of this month. But I think instead of having them go before county commission, we may postpone that until they're able to come before our board for an update. And there was even a little bit of conversation about if we do I guess an interim, not an interim, but a meeting to review our policy updates like we've been doing the last couple of months, perhaps they can come down for a brief update. So I don't know if anyone has any preferences or thoughts, or Dr. Nancy can get anything to add.
Well, as far as the discussion goes, I think it's unusual, but one of the most interesting parts of it was not the building itself that they discussed, but it was the things on the outside, like where do you put the dumpsters to be the most efficient? These are things, honestly, I hadn't started thinking about. I was still kind of lost in the floor plan and everything. And I think that's why it's beneficial for Dr. Kilgore to go to Alcoa High School in Korea. You got lots of good feedback, didn't you, Dr. Kilgore, on the placement of the kitchen and the dumpster services and all that, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, the main focus of that visit to Alcoa is to look at classroom setup. The square footage is very similar to what they've got programmed for the middle school, with some permanent teacher workstations. Just kind of getting our eyes on those and what those look like. We look at cafeteria layout, and a lot of the outside stuff that you normally wouldn't think of, like trash pickup, where we're going to be able to put that on the property, whereas the most efficient way for our custodial staff to be able to get that and not disrupt the entire school throughout the day. We looked at some special ed programming, and how they set up their CDC areas for life skills, kitchenettes, laundry facilities, calm down rooms. So just a lot of things that we had discussed, but not really seen in person. So it was good to be able to actually see those things and get some pictures of that stuff, so I can share some of those things with Dr. Nancy and the board, so you guys can see what a permanent teacher workstation and those things look like. It's just on my phone currently, just not any type of presentation, so I can get it in a PDF and send it to you guys so you can review those and see those firsthand.
What was that school built?
I think it was open in 2017. So there's some things that are just, the way that the building, and Mr. Gibson can speak more to this, the way that the stacking of the building and different things, their hallways would be wider than what we would be able to fit on our property, but they've got 16-foot wide hallways. We're right now currently at the middle school, we're 10-foot wide hallways. So just seeing the difference of how the new middle school being built to 1,000 student core, where we would be around the 12 to 14 range on hallways, and how the ease of transitions and safety and those things was pretty enlightening to see the difference in those between the current building we're in and what's over.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I want to say I appreciate Dr. Kilgore going above and beyond, and the architect has been extremely grateful for the time and effort and invaluable feedback they've been describing that he's able to bring to the conversations. They actually approached me a couple of months ago and said it was just outstanding, good collaboration, good feedback. So it looks like a very healthy dialogue that's transpiring about this programming and early design concepts maximize the benefits of our school systems. Thank you, Dr. Kilgore.
Can I ask you a question about the middle school? What number of students are we looking at to fit? If anybody remembers, I'm
800, Dr. Kilgore, do you recall, or Dr. Nancy?
It was right at 750 to 800 is what the new building's looking at. We're around 655 kids currently. But the core part of the building is built for 1,000. So like you could fit the comfortability of hallways, cafeteria, gym, those areas, you could fit 1,000 in their comfortables. We'll be able to spread out, not be on top of each other.
Thank you.
All right, if nothing more on that, we'll move to item number 9, discuss maintenance and capital projects update. Frank Johnson.
Hello. Recently completed projects include the hallway HVAC project at Paulette, repairs to the high school parking lot lighting, and the middle school auditorium door exit device and classroom 124 door installations. The UCHS HVAC project is in progress. It's estimated to be about 35% complete. AirQuest is planning on setting the equipment on the roof Wednesday. The curves are set and the holes are cut. The drops are inside the building now. Everything is still up on the roof. Electrical and ductwork will begin after that, and AirQuest will work with the school to coordinate that work. The materials for the high school gym door project are scheduled to be delivered Monday, and installation should begin Tuesday, hopefully finished by Wednesday of next week. And the materials for the Big Ridge Elementary office door and frame are set to be delivered around December 20th. Some potential capital projects for your consideration that have been requested to me include, I was listed about 6 things, and we can talk about it or not, but the number one thing was, in addition to the Sharp Chapel kitchen, that estimated cost is under $15,000. We have several quotes pending there. We have underpinning work that needs to be done on 3 outbuildings at Manuel Elementary School. We're working on getting estimates for that. Waco Elementary has requested some front awnings. The cost is unknown at this time. And they've also requested lighting upgrades. And Field Services can talk a little bit more about that option. The middle school has requested carpet replacement for the band room, and that estimated cost is under $10,000. Dr. Kilgore has worked with the vendor to select samples, and I think he settled on one that's the most cost effective and that would work well in there. And also Big Ridge Elementary cafeteria, the principal has requested new flooring there for down the road, and the estimated cost there is unknown, but we will get estimates. We did take flooring samples last week and for asbestos containing materials, and those samples did come back negative, so that's good news. As far as maintenance and capital projects, that's really all I've got. There were a couple of other things on the agenda to talk about. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I appreciate your update, Mike. And I asked Dr. Mincy, going forward, I appreciate these monthly updates, and if we are able to give a brief written update, packet, I think it would help our board members, stay more current with what's going on. And I guess first of all, I defer to Dr. Mincy on these potential projects. Certainly, maybe touching on those again next meeting if you have a chance to get some budget estimates together, perhaps. I don't know if you have any urgent needs or these are planning opportunities.
I would say the underpinning work at Manuel Elementary is pretty urgent because of the risk of freezing. So we're working. I'm hoping that the first estimate we get will be under $10,000. We want to go back to something more sustainable than just vinyl. That's something that will last longer. Some metal underpinning there that will last longer.
And that's at the outbuildings?
Yeah. There's two in the playground and one on the upper end, the brown double wide. Especially if it's used for classroom storage and offices.
Is there currently money in that capital projects line? Because we've only budgeted like $150,000 for capital projects.
There was only $150,000 budgeted in capital projects this
Which
year. They were going to do a
We spent some out of that, we're already correct.
Today, it's $89,615.
So you're going to utilize some of that, those funds to do some of these projects.
Mike, let me ask you a question about the middle school, carpet and down. Is that cost effective or wise decision, considering the construction rules? Can it last?
I'll let Dr. Kilgore maybe describe. I took some pictures today of it. I wish I could show them to you. It's in really bad shape right now. There's a lot of gum. There's a lot of seams that are showing. It's been there a long time, so I'll let you kind of speak to that.
We looked at two different carpet areas in the building. The auditorium, it was more cost effective to do a cleaning on that area. But the carpet in the band room is pretty significantly damaged, and there used to be an area to the side of the building where water would actually come in the building, so we've got some areas over there that the floor's not really connected to anything anymore, possible mold issues, those type things. So the first estimate that we got back was much more than $9,000, around the $15,000 or $16,000 range. We talked about that and didn't think that was very cost effective with the new school coming. But even looking at, if we're 2 years away, we've still got to have something in that room. Right now, that's the lowest price that we've been able to get. The floor does come in tiles and not a rollout, so that way if we do have a section that does get damaged over the 2 years before we hopefully get into the new building, we'll just be able to replace those sections instead of having to cut and patch. So it does appear to be the most cost-effective approach right now.
Is the cost that we have now to roughly about $9,000, is that including the installation, or is that just the cost?
Yeah, that's furniture move out, that's removal of the old, that's buffing down the floor, my understanding, the old glue up, and the installation of moving furniture back in.
If you're saying this is something that is really needed in there, is it for acoustic purposes, or is there a concrete floor underneath that carpet can go up?
There is a concrete floor underneath, and I'm not a musician by any stretch of the imagination, but apparently playing on a concrete surface, it gets extremely loud, and acoustically they did request carpet.
Is the mold, is the problem, is that been like looked at?
Yes, it's been issues in the past. Since I've been there, we have not had water coming to that side of the building. That has been fixed by maintenance, but previous years, every time that it would rain, it would come in on that side. Right now, we're only taking on water in one area of the building, but there's no carpet there, so we're staying afloat. Thank you.
Any other questions on item number 9? If not, we move to item 10, Mike Johnson, discussion of risk management and safety grant application.
Yes, Tennessee Risk Management has invited us to submit applications for the annual employee safety grant. Applications must be submitted by December 31st, 2022. The Board of Trustees will review grant applications in 2023 and approve and issue grants. Not all applications will be approved. Each application request can be for any amount up to $20,000, and we can submit multiple applications. To qualify for this, requirements include completing the application, having a designated safety coordinator, and being a member of RMT in good standing for a minimum of 4 years. Things like the purchase of safety loss prevention items, physical improvements to our buildings and grounds, and safety training of employees, as well as other safety ideas will be considered. And I have emailed this to each principal to ask for their feedback. And some of their ideas included improving exterior lighting and adding sidewalks to needed areas. If you have any ideas for that, I'll be glad to get estimates and submit the application if you approve it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the package that's been provided to the board, you're looking for approval to submit of the lighting improvement package. Yes, is that exterior lights?
Yes, and we do have, at Luther, we do have an ask from Principal Smith there for some interior wouldn't hurt to apply. All I can say is no. But I think Dr. Ramsey said since it was a grant, it has to come before.
Okay.
Any questions on that item? If not, we'll move on to item 11. If you want to take that, discuss the school service to item proposal.
Yeah.
John?
We prepared 3 different proposals, and the first one is an all-inclusive proposal. It's all the schools combined, interior and exterior. So, we've worked with Mike over several months, a couple of years, gone through all the facilities, done a complete investment grade audit, and included the sports field lighting as well in this proposal. And it includes replacing all the exterior fixtures and all the interior fixtures. So the proposal, it drives the cost of the proposal up some. There's LED replacements that we can actually put in, full replacements, and things like that, a bit cheaper. But the age of the fixtures and the condition of the existing lighting really warrants to be completely replaced. Even with that being said, it's still a great project. The total project is $979,000, and it's an energy payback of 7.6 years. And lighting is a very lucrative initiative, and it's supported, of course, by the federal government and the state government. And there's plenty of financing schemes that are very favorable for school systems that we can help Union County with at any time. The attributes of replacing lighting, they're hard to explain the greatness of the benefits, but the overall environment of each facility retrofit is just really amazing for the overall environment. It's a much more comfortable feel. All the lighting is even. It comes in to same color renderings throughout the facility, and then the safety that's linked with the exterior lighting it's already been discussed. It's a big thing. Lighting really is one of the best overall facility improvements that any school system can do. And I think it's been 8 years since Johnson Controls did it, 8 or 10 years.
I don't think it's been that long, but it's getting close. I think this is your seventh.
7, yeah. 7 years since Johnson Controls came in and did a lighting proposal, and we were asked to do a proposal on the entire county, and then also on Luttrell and Paulette, because those 2 schools were not retrofitted at that time at the 7-year mark, and that was simply because Paulette was too new and Luttrell was on a different program and had already been retrofitted several years before. So we broke it down into those 3 individual.
I think that the difference between the 2 is the 1 7 years ago was fluorescent.
That's right.
And then this is the LED, which is further savings. And I think that's, Rob knows more about the actual guts of the project than I do, but the one thing we like to emphasize is we've done a number of them. We're doing Monroe County Schools actually right now, their whole countywide lighting retrofit. And from my standpoint, the benefit for the board and for the school system is the project pays for itself with that payback. So it's actually a hard reduction from your utility companies. And then we fund the financing for the project. So there's really no money out of pocket out of your regular capital budgets or anything. So we'll find that there's a couple of different lending companies we work with on an ongoing basis, and they'll front the money up front, and then the savings, it's like a loan that they give, and the savings from the utility company. So, I mean, this is not the exact rate, where it can simply say your savings are $20,000 a month, and your payment on the loan is $10,000 a month. the board is actually pocketing an extra $10,000 a month from the energy savings, and that just goes back into Mike's budget or wherever the utility savings goes to, wherever it's your discretion where the money goes to, but the project does pay for itself, and there's no money out of pocket. So that's one thing that I can emphasize.
Mike, I'm trying to remember, is this an unsolicited proposal we're considering? This was not even presented to the board active. Two or three schools, but not the county-wide. This was a need-based consideration.
They had been working on with Dr. Carter, what, a year ago?
Yeah.
Probably, and that's what it was. This is kind of a carryover from the past few months.
This not have to be bid? This not have to be bid? 1,900.
I mean, it sounds like a performance contract.
That's correct.
Option. I didn't know we were even looking at tonight. That does not have to be there under state law. It's similar to what we did with Johnson Controls.
It's all different people wouldn't have to, excuse me, probably it's all different companies along with that.
We did talk to two different providers with that. And those included not only supply for upgrades, but also a lot of HVAC upgrades as well. Some exterior envelope, doors and window improvements.
So what is the total cost of the proposal you are just presenting? What the total cost of the board will be?
Of the, combined with all schools and
Yes.
systems. 979, 258.
And that
Do we have funds budgeted for that? So is it even possible for us to do it at the present time?
This is just a discussion. This is just, they're selling the idea to you. That's what they're doing.
And I apologize to the board, all I had access to was what I put in your packets was for lateral audit. That's all I had any access to prior to this meeting, so I apologize to you all for that.
Principal Smith at Lovejoy has requested that this school be upgraded just recently. And if you were to start anywhere, that would probably be the place to start.
What's the problem at Lovejoy?
Well, it's, the fixtures are in bad shape, they're old, the lenses are broken and they're hard to find. You can find them at all covers. The ballasts don't last very long. It just looks pretty bad.
Did you say 7 years ago they were new enough that they didn't fall under consideration?
Well, I think Steve Hutchins with United Energy did that retrofit in 2012 or 2013. And I believe when Johnson Controls came in a few years after that, they did a very little part that wasn't touched at that school. So you can walk the hallways and classrooms and see the reflectors and just the shape of the fixtures and the lenses. Except Principal Smith was back. Take on a tour. You're familiar with a lot of there. So, and I don't know what the cost is for a lot that you proposed there, but it would be obviously a lot less.
Is there a possibility just to do school by school, maybe one at a time?
Yes.
Yeah, and we can structure it the same way from an energy savings standpoint, so you don't have to do the overall project. But if you do an individual one, we just set it up the same way as an energy savings, and it just pay for itself the same way. We could get a loan for that much too, it would pay for itself the same way for the overall project.
And how do we know that the energy savings, like, do you have examples you could show us or data that you can give us that we can be sure that we have this savings per month?
Yep, so we actually guarantee, we work directly with the utility companies to come up with that number, and then we actually guarantee it, so that if it doesn't meet the number we guarantee, our company will actually pay for the difference of what it is. So, but yeah, we do guarantee that.
Are there like references you can call on that?
Yep, absolutely.
any of us were prepared to know anything about this, much less take action on it. So, I don't know if the board can kind of understand this big package that's been provided us in a short period of time tonight or not. I would suggest we move forward and do a deeper dive and try to understand this between now and the next board meetings.
Yeah, I think Rob just wanted to get the information to you so you can look at it down the road, and, long-term planning or whatever.
Okay,
And in the
good.
short term, maybe electrical evolution would be the top priority.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Moving on to item 12, discuss purchase of the sound system for school board meetings. Jennifer, you able to speak to the information that's been provided to us?
Not to make a recommendation of one over the other, but I do have, from talking to them, two preferences. One would be the one I brought to you originally, and the other one would be AVCO. AVCO come in way lower in price. And the thing about AVCO that impresses me is he's local. You may have seen him at Tasman Pike down below where the school used to be. Very knowledgeable young man in local business, and he's also active in our county with our Boy Scouts. He's up here all the time. He looked at our school for us and said, here's what I think we'll do it for you. And it is a lot cheaper. So I would look at it, in my opinion, as like a Ferrari and a Camaro. What we have is a Yugo. So that's kind of how I'd sum that up. The other three, I'm going to be honest with you, I took them out of the running, in my opinion, and this is all your decision whether to do it or not, just because they didn't really seem to want our business. And that means a lot to me, you know. But as far as the equipment with AVCO is a little smaller. It is not as professional as the other one, but for the savings, maybe something you want to consider. Everybody has their own mic. Whoever's running the meeting will have control over all the microphones. If you all wanted to mute the microphones, before a meeting, you'd have a button to do that with.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I notice a lot of you, are pushing the mics away because, you're maybe coughing or whatever. You don't want that out there. It has a feature that you can turn your mic off unless you're using it, so that would be something to consider, and a lot less water.
Do you know how the AVCO system would perform in the cafeteria comparison to
This is what he recommends. He had cheaper ones, but he said with that and it not being acoustically made for it, like we were talking about the floor up there. When you have a concrete floor, your acoustics are going to be horrible. And remember that your cafeteria is built to dampen sound, so that kids eating lunch don't disturb the other classes. So it's never going to be as good out there as it is in here. But that he was told to look at that and make his recommendation from that. Anything else?
You're not wanting to offer a recommendation?
I'm a top wad, I'd go with that, go.
Good, thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Anything else?
If not, we'll move to item 13, discuss TSBA recommended board policy revisions as follows. Presented for informational purposes at this meeting, 4.700 testing program. Dr. Mason.
This comes up practically every year. It was last approved by the board on September 9th of 21. And once again, TSBA is recommending that we update it. I talked with Dr. Effler, and her recommendation is they want to know the weighted PCAP scores. For grades 3 through 5, we can select a percentage from 0 to 25. Well, we err on the side of caution and choose the lowest possible percentage we can select, which would be 0. And for grades 6 and 8, 10%, grades 9 through 12, 15%. We use the Q group methodology, which is what we always use when we include PCAP scores in students' final grades. In interest inventories and career assessments. We choose to do that in the middle schools, and career aptitude assessments administered to 7th graders. In that last section, testing for grade placement or awarding credit, it says conclude this provision if the board requires a test for the purposes of grade placement or awarding credit when a student transfers into the district from a Category 4 church-related school, a Category 5 private school, or a home school, which we do that, so we would include that language. But this is only for you all to take with you and consider. This time, we'll bring it back to you for approval on first reading in December.
Dr. Bennett, I have a few questions on that. So I did review this, and I have some printouts too on it. And my understanding is that really the main change to this was simply the testing for non-public school students if they do come in.
Yes.
After reading Jennifer White's letter and then reading our board policy that we currently have, and then the recommended board policy. And my understanding is that's really the only change we would be making is just the testing of incoming students. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so, and actually when I reviewed, correct me if I'm wrong, perhaps I am, but when I reviewed our policy, it didn't indicate to me, unless there's another one I'm not familiar with, that we do test those incoming students. And I do have a copy of it, so maybe I missed
I
one.
don't think that language has been in there previously.
Okay, so we actually would just be adding language to our policy that would say that we now have to test incoming students for them to get credit.
Yes. So we would know where
they
to
took for
appropriate
if they were in
place.
a homeschool or went to a private school.
Yes.
Okay, and then my other question is to, well, actually not really a question, I guess, is that this is, when I read Jennifer White's letter carefully, and I read our policy and the TSBA, or actually the school board policy, it basically was saying that this is optional for school board, so it would not be something we needed to do, and honestly, if we took it on, we would have to be taking on a whole nother responsibility, correct? Yeah. And then the last question is, what if the student didn't pass the test? Like, if they were being tested, like, if they completed a certain grade or whatever, but they didn't pass the test for various reasons, you know, that sometimes students can know information, but sometimes they don't always, tests don't always reflect perfectly. So then what would happen in that instance?
That would be something we need to consider and discuss. Do you have any feedback on that, Dr. Eckler?
I was just curious how it's
are we
currently handled prior to this.
Are we talking about homeschools, non-public schools, students that are coming in?
Exactly. Yes.
The testing is what we would do is we would test them and we would use the in-course test. And they would not get the credit unless they pass that test. They just wouldn't get that credit. There's no other way to assess them other than the testing.
Correct. Okay, so my thought is that taking this would be a completely optional thing, and it really would add responsibility, and then it would also possibly, the students went like and completed, let's say, the 7th grade or grade, and they didn't pass the test, then they would not even have, they'd have to repeat the 2nd grade, or
We already, it may not be policy, but procedurally, that's what we do. So whenever we have students that are coming in from non-public schools, we have to have some way to assess where to place them. And so although it's not in policy, that is already how we assess them to place them appropriately.
Thank you for explaining that.
So is your thought, Ms. Locke, we might just want to keep the policy we have?
I personally was opposed to this policy change after I looked at it carefully. And I know it's important to assess students, absolutely, I totally understand that. It'd be irresponsible not to, but I feel like if we adopted a policy, it would be set in stone, it would be very, it would bind us, and not to consider like we are doing for the 3rd grade retention issue, the whole student, the entirety of the student. So to me, it would be perhaps, I want to be careful of words I choose against students that didn't come from another public school. And I personally would hope that we wouldn't be that way. So.
But I guess the downside of not approving it is we're procedurally already doing it without such a policy. And we have an incoming parent, student that takes exception the outcome of the test without such a policy that may give us other liabilities, perhaps.
We need to look at the high school in attaining credits. We have the burden, obviously, to make sure that they're passing those E at the end of the course to get that credit, to get that diploma. When you look at a K through 8 student that is coming in, we would use that testing to assess and place them. That's not to say that once an elementary K through 8 student is in a grade level, that the teacher starts seeing that they may be supposed to, and we also look at the age as well of the student, because trust me, you want to keep them age appropriate, okay? So, but if we assess them and it's innate, the parent says that they should be in 3rd grade, but they do not have the skill to be successful in 3rd grade and they're placed in 2nd grade, once they go into 2nd grade, if the teacher assesses them and they feel that they have not been placed appropriately, that's something that we can discuss with an administrator, and at that point, we can make that move. This is very important when it comes to your credits in high school. You don't have as much flexibility there. And I guess I could also actually defer to Susan on that, because she was a counselor at the high school and understands how those credits come in. But again, it is something procedurally that we already do, whether it's a policy or not.
And I did read this, but this would affect all grades, correct? I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yes. The way I understand it, yes.
Thank you.
Are there any thoughts or Nancy? Is there any implications of approving or not approving this proposed policy? Either pros or cons, either way.
There are several things that we do that are procedures that are not actually board policy in various different areas. I don't know that it's so much going to change anything that we do, whether we actually approve it or not. So I would say that PSBA says it's optional, that we.
But hopefully we'll check and not follow the policy anyway.
Do that.
Hopefully we want to follow the policy anyway. Follow policy, correct.
We're going to follow
If
policy.
we don't approve it,
This is
we
our
want to follow
procedure.
it, we want to possibly follow the guidelines in it. So it doesn't really matter whether we adopt it or not.
Pretty much correct, I would say.
Any other discussion? If not, move on to item 14, discuss search for new director of schools. I will share that the applications are being received by the Tennessee School Board Association. The date for closure of those applications is the end of next week, Friday the 20th. You get an email from Dr. Grissom, I think it was earlier today. He has a list of those who have already applied, so we're probably a little over halfway through that open period, so we will wait until the period is closed and then let Dr. Grissom and her team assess those and provide their report back to the board between now and our next board meeting. So I would anticipate, and I will talk a little bit, I would anticipate perhaps the need for perhaps a special call meeting, but I don't want to say that until I talk about it. Just considering our next meeting, I think is December 15th is our regular meeting, so if there's any news to report between now and then, certainly we will do that. Any questions?
Are we going to have another policy review this month?
We do have that at the end of our meeting to determine and set date for it. I anticipate we will. Moving on to our second item,
I apologize for that word, but it's not to be all the time.
discuss TSBA legislative assembly, TLM delegate Rebecca Locke.
All right, thank you. I first just want to thank the board for the opportunity to go and represent the board at the delegate assembly, and then also attend the leadership conference, which is open to everyone. It was a wonderful experience, and really appreciated it.
So the theme for the, first I'll discuss the leadership conference report, and I do have extra copies. I'd be happy to give anyone that wants one another copy of that. But the leadership conference, the theme for this year was education makes dreams come true. There was a pre-convention legal workshop that I attended, and that was hosted by TSBA Emily Warren, and it was very, I was really excited about this because basically it was the legislators were there, they were hearing us, all the delegates and all of the attendees from all the counties basically, and it was a Q&A, and Ms. Warren did a great job. She actually gave us all kinds of information about, which I'm going to go through in a minute, about resolutions and different things that the legislature might come up for the legislature, but of course the point that everybody was anxious to talk about was third quarter retention, and that dominated the entire meeting. And I did get some notes from Dr. Efford, thank you very much, they were great. As I was going, I was prepared to discuss and defend our position on that and our resolution that we had. The room was filled with people that had the exact same points that Dr. Echo made. I raised my hand several times to add to the discussion. I was really thankful because at the end it was very passionate from everyone there, from all over the state. I think pretty much at one point the education chair, Representative White, said, when you get a resolution from every school board in the state, you have to start listening. Because he actually was defending the law and why they actually were concerned and made this law in the first place. But he was listening. And there were two representatives there. Representative White, he's the chairman of the Education Administration Committee, and then Representative Love. And basically, arguments were made, it went great. And then I also suggested at the end, I went up to personally talk to him, and I shared with him, this is going to hurt my district. I shared with him concern over it. And I said, what if you do a more targeted remedial program for those that didn't reach the score they needed to, and just put that in place for the fourth grade. And he said, I thought of that idea too. So we don't know what's going to happen exactly, but this was the top of the entire meeting. So I was encouraged by that they did here. That was the big workshop there. And then we had leadership trainings, which were amazing. By Brett Culp, Dr. Rick Grigsby, who was amazing. He wrote award-winning books, including lessons from a third grade dropout. That's his very catching title. And then Major Heather Penny was the other speaker. And then we also had clinics and trainings. There were several options. All of them were intriguing. However, I did call Dr. Mincy and I said I don't want to just attend the training for myself. I'd like to know what would benefit our district best. And so I went to two trainings, one on sustained technology programs, and then the second one was on building a zero energy school and canceling our utility bill. Of course, that's the sales pitch from people. But it basically, and this is a possibility for us to consider. I'm definitely not an energy expert, so not be the right option for us, but there is a company that was there at TSBA's convention called CMTA, and basically they said if you use their company, you can build a zero energy school and cancel the utility bill. And they said it only costs about 2% more than a conventional bill. Of course, these are all things you have to research because this was a sales pitch. But they do claim that with the new IRA Investment Act the federal government passed, that there would be a 40% savings, basically just 40% discount on many of the parts of their, they come into a whole comprehensive thing on the school. It also, they argued that it was an automatic STEM school and that they use local contractors. All this is in the notes. I won't go through everything, but I'm going to present this. I've already given this to the board. Then we attended the delegate assembly. There were 254 delegates present. They meet during the annual convention and they vote on resolutions, one of which we have a resolution for the third grade retention. And many counties, pretty much all counties across the state had resolutions on that. So we voted on several things, and I have a list of things that passed. I only included the things that passed on here. There were a total of 22. And the first one was they honored the past president. The second one was the use of TANF funds for social service programs by local boards. And this is the only one I voted in the negative on, and I will explain why. There was concern expressed by one delegate about the stated purpose of TANF that we had in our literature from TSBA, saying that the program was to prevent and reduce the incidence of out-of-wedlock pregnancies. And so she had a concern over that. So I also had concern, and I have other language here that I've submitted to the board on that. There's also a great deal of information in the TSBA fall district notes, and they discuss reasons why some districts are hesitant to take some of these funds because there are strings, including staff burdens, including federal audits, which I believe Dr. McKee mentioned as well, and also, yeah, those are the two main things. And then sometimes they have requirements that you do things that might not always be what your district wants to do. Then the third, so that one did pass. I did vote against it, however. I was in the minority. Resolution 3 was the use of funds to pay for the praxis. Passed. Resolution 4 was the use of funds to pay for education scholarships. And these are all resolutions going before the state by Tennessee School Boards Association, trying to push for legislation on these next, starting in January. Number 5 was the option for districts to hire student-teacher candidates, which possibly helps staffing problem. And number 6 was the option for military vets to obtain an occupational teaching license. There's a great deal of language on this. I'd be happy to share with anyone who's interested on these things. And then resolution 8, and these again are all the ones that passed, supporting the statewide review of unnecessary requirements on educators. It passed by a slim margin. So that was the only roll call vote, and it did pass, so we might see that perhaps. Resolutions 9, 10, and 11 were requests to amend the code allowing districts to make decisions for 3rd and 4th grade retention. Resolution 11 on that actually included a request that by May 31st we would receive the ELA TCAP results. So those were the ones that passed. And then, and that concludes the report on the leadership conference in Delhi Assembly for the SBA.
Thank you for attending, and thank you for your report. I previously recommended that Ms. Locke that we, next time we're with our architect, we ask them their opinion or to go back and research and provide feedback to us on their thoughts on zero energy design and construction projects. So I appreciate you taking the initiative and giving us your feedback. Any questions before we move on? If not, we'll move to item 13, discuss funding for non-gated sports. Brad,
Well, I have sent an email to local business owners who contacted me about being inundated with requests for sponsorship, donations, things like that. So as he and I were talking, I said the non-gated sports like tennis, golf, fishing, middle school, high school, is there any way that the board, the school, could give those people money to start out instead of having to beg and borrow the school for various businesses and things like that? So that's what I wanted to bring up. I told them I would. I'll bring it up and talk about it. So it's what we want to do.
specifically the non-gated.
There was not a set amount, just something.
Northern goals on, like, two fundraisers.
I don't know. I did speak to a couple of parents of that who children fish, and when they go to Hickory Star, the lunch is $15. That's paid out of my pocket. jerseys, which other schools do. More or less, it's just money to start them off, kids, balls, or uniforms, things like that. It's something to help. Because obviously the cash flow is not anything compared to football, basketball, baseball, and all. So what's the theme that we're talking about, except for I don't know how to.
You should know if when they do their fundraising, if they have overall goals, or they're trying to achieve, then
I'm sure we can get the athletic director of each school and get some numbers on that. And I'll do that.
I'll probably see it on, everything on there.
Yes. I'll get all the athletic director, it's sure.
Any other comments or questions? Move on to item 14, discuss policy 5.2000, action on
Our board policy 5.200 requires the board to approve a suspension of an employee without pay greater than 3 days. And I would like to ask the board's approval to do a 10-day suspension without pay.
comments or questions? Not we'll move to item number 15, discuss LEA compliance with board recommendations.
This is an annual requirement from the State Department of Education, and it's due by November 30th of every year. And we have to either certify that we are in compliance with all federal and state education laws and state board of education rules, or if we're not, we have to attach a corrective action plan to tell what we're not in compliance with and what our plan for achieving compliance is. To the best of my knowledge, based on everything I know, currently we are in compliance with all of the federal and state education laws and state board of education rules. But the board needs to approve this statement, and the chairman and I need to sign it so it can be sent into the state. It's an annual requirement.
Item number 16, discuss EPA grant manual.
Give you a little backstory. Back in the spring, the federal government started advertising for clean school bus grants. We had a summer training for supervisors that happens the first week of June. That was all taught, and it was also shared with the superintendent's programs that were provided over the summer. Dr. Carter had asked me to look into it and start the application process. And we were just notified within the past week and a half that Union County was one of 8 districts in Tennessee that was awarded the grant. We have a $790,000 grant for 2 electric school buses. I did not put anything in the packet, and I'm going to ask that Dr. Mincy strike number 15 from the meeting. There's nothing to approve tonight. I wanted to give you guys the news that we have been awarded. However, with that, there is a local contribution if we do accept the grant. As far as some infrastructure and part of the charging system we would be responsible for. So we have to get together with many of the utilities, with the TPA engineer, with the vendor, with the school buses, and see if that is a viable option for us. So I still have a lot of unanswered questions, and I didn't want to put all of that in a packet to you without having some more information. But I wanted to tell you that we have been notified that we were one of the 8 districts that would receive the grant. We have to make a determination, my understanding, by April. So we have a little bit of time to see if this is viable for us. But if it is, and I can come back with some more information, we may pursue it in the near future.
I'll choose one of those buses.
$395,000. The last diesel bus that we purchased was around $85,000. Electric bus that's spec the same as the buses that we're currently using are $395,000. We were awarded 2 buses. The next district our size, Athens, applied for 5 and received 5. I believe Shelby County got 15. So like I said, we're one of 8 districts in Tennessee that were awarded. We applied for 2 and we were awarded for 2.
What all do you think we have to do to accommodate those buses and more expensive, just growth?
Just ballpark numbers, talking with the vendors, there's a charging station that's somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000. One station would be able to charge both buses.
You know, like utility costs?
I don't know that. No, there's an extended warranty, but the batteries are set up not to be replaced, they're not on the available cycle. So, but I wanted to share the news, but like I said, I'll entertain any questions and take them back to the vendors, but this is still very new to us.
What is the life of that bus?
I'm sorry.
What's the anticipated life expectancy?
It would be the same as a diesel powered bus. It could run 200,000 miles or 18 years. Strike that from, we're not taking action on it this evening. I just wanted to let you guys know. As I get more information, then I'll share that in the packets. And, go ahead.
And ask, do you need 2 more buses? Like, do we need what fulfill needs?
We do not have a need for those vehicles right now, but as replacement cycle comes into play, we would use them in the future. We're operating with the vehicles that we have right now, so it's not that there's a need to have them, but we would be in the foreseeable future.
Maybe a 2-year lead time after you place the order.
Before I sit down, this is not on the agenda. I always like to give a shout out and for the high school folks. I don't know if any of the administrators are here tonight. When I pulled in this afternoon in the back parking lot, usually when people come to the bus in the afternoon, they've either lost a cell phone, somebody's misplaced a backpack, or there's been a problem. And I was greeted by a group of high school students. And the wrestling team came out and grabbed all the trash off all the buses this afternoon, completely unsolicited. Said that was part of their community service, and the wrestling coach and the administration wanted to put that in place. So welcome sight. The kids came out, they were very respectful. We had fun grabbing trash cans and throwing them in the dumpster. So it was very refreshing. Shout out to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion 2023-24 school calendar, once it passed. You provided us, I think, a copy of this at our policy meeting 2-3 weeks ago.
I did, and I was very happy to hear that Ms. Murr was pleased, I don't know if she's still here, but she was pleased that we have pushed the spring break up, because I feel like
Spring break what it is, and I like spring break when it's supposed to be.
I will tell you that spring break is exactly 47 days into when we get back from Christmas, so it does balance it out, but I feel like that if we get approval from Ms. Murr, then we've done something right, so. Okay.
Amen to that.
Are there any questions regarding the calendar?
Thank you. Number 18, discuss eye care proposal, teacher awareness and fifth graders, community laws about St. Patterson.
I think that we all are very, very aware of the concern of vaping. It's been a hot topic. It will continue to be a concern. It's not going away. I have been in several meetings regarding vaping. I've been in meetings with parents, school officials, law enforcement, the sheriff, juvenile court judge, YSO. And although we all kind of have maybe a different perspective on it, the one thing that we have all agreed on is that we need more prevention, and we need it at a much younger age. So when we looked at what type of programs were out there, of course, we kind of deferred to Ms. Mindy Grimm, who is the coordinator for eye care. And just one thing I want to note about Mindy is that she has over 1,500 hours of preventative training. So that's pretty impressive. And I did not know that until today whenever I met with her. So, I mean, I just feel like that is very impressive. And I just want to refer to her just so she can explain the program.
told me to come here tonight, and I want you guys to know that this is, I've been waiting for this day for about 2.5 years, because I've been working on the foundations to bring me here, because I'm just the type of person that I want to have all my ducks in a row before I present, especially to the board and make this type of decision. So I've really worked hard on getting these little puzzle pieces into play, and hopefully I'll get you guys approval for everything. I don't know if you guys have seen on social media or anything, but when we middle school, we partnered with the middle school and all those events that they did there. We were a part of that, really pushing in for the regular activities, and that's just a prevention awareness event that we do in school, that was once a year. We do the drug take back day at the sheriff's office, and I'm the coordinator over the director over the coalition for our care. So we are a substance abuse prevention coalition. We're funded by the state Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. That's where we get all our funding from. It filters through the school system, but our funds come. So whenever you guys go to the meeting, you hear about our care. That's us. With all that said, I'm a certified prevention specialist, and that's where I got most of my hours in training. I've been doing this job. This is my 6.5 years now. Going on 7. So I've gotten a lot of experience under my belt with that, and I've done lots of community assessments, logic models. You guys are familiar with those kind of things. Assessing through surveys, parent surveys, student surveys. And I have all the information if you've got my business card. If any of you guys would like to see any of that, feel free to call me, contact me. I'll have it all the detailed survey. The things I want to talk to you today about is just because we wanted to try to get the prevention classes in the 5th grade, at the 5th grade level. Our student surveys that we have a student survey, it's called Tennessee Together Survey, but we have this every 2 years. I have them coming out, I just submitted it to the guidance counselors this week, so they'll be having, I'll get the results of those probably this spring, and I can show you all those. The last couple that we've had showed that our age of initiation for any sort of substance use, like alcohol, tobacco, or drugs, started at 11.5 years to 12 years old. My grant, I work on both through alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana, stimulants, opioids, covers us for 12 to 17-year-olds at the school program. Since our student survey indicated that our students are beginning to use substances, misuse substances at 11, they have approved us, myself, to teach prevention classes at the 5th grade level, due to the fact that that's where our students survey and our results. Throughout the last couple of years, I've been working with the Department of Public Health, right? The Public Health at UT. And one of the professors I spoke with her several times, and we have gotten something set up for her grad students to give their hours to come and help us teach, because there's 5 elementary schools. It would be quite a lot of work for myself and my program coordinator to do all 5 elementary schools, plus do all of our other jobs. So I'm trying to recruit help for that, educate help, not just anybody. These are master's level students that are needing hours to find out, what kind of things they want to see, what areas that they want to do as a job. And so they're going to this UT program got a grant, and they're going to give a stipend from 4 to 6, between 4 and 6 grad students to help us to get that education out to our schools. And it's not going to cost you guys anything. The grant will pay for my time, my services, that from the State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. And then the UT grant will pay for the grad students to do their services. So all I'm really asking you guys is if it's okay if we start implementing some sort of drug prevention curriculum into all our elementary schools. I'm currently working at the middle school. We've been working with them for, I guess, 30 years, consistently teaching them a program called Health Rocks. And I think you guys have the proposal that I typed up for you. Just to give a brief overview of what Health Rock is, and how that comes about. I do have a teacher's book. I don't have one that's mine, but you guys are free to look at it if you want, but, that's what we'd be kind of going off of. And, each class may have a little bit of different needs, like maybe some mental health needs, and we can resource those out. Depending on if we see someone in the class that needs some extra help, we can reach out to parents or the school system to see how else we can help those students. But the point is for us to give out information about how to say no, mental health services, of course, and teach them resiliency, how important it is to have adults, positive relationships with adults, how can they trust some adults to talk to about some of the problems they may be having, because what happens is the majority of people who are addicted to drugs is because of a mental health problem. They use it as a coping mechanism. It starts out, I just need this to help me, and then it becomes an addiction. And as you guys know, right now, currently, we don't have any services for folks that are addicted to drugs. With shipments out to Knoxville or other resources. So that's another thing I'm working on, a totally separate thing, but that's what I'm asking for tonight, is like, why we need this in 5th grade. One of my survey questions asked, have you ever talked to your parents about the dangers of using alcohol, tobacco, or drugs? And the survey results I have is 59.2% of students did not speak to their parents. So to me, that says they're not getting the information that they need, or maybe the support they need at home to kind of stand up against that. So that's the hope and idea about this program.
And it's also to help support parents as well in their talks with children. And a little bit about, if you don't care, just talk a little bit about the curriculum and where that curriculum come from, and also who approves that curriculum.
Yeah, the Health Rocks curriculum it's created by the 4-H Council, the National 4-H Council, so it's from the University of Tennessee 4-H Extension Office. And then that's how it's been accredited. And then I submitted that to my superiors at the state level from the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, and they have okayed me to teach that course. That it would fall in the parameters of our implementation plan that we have for the county. And that's the reason behind it. The curriculum. I'm looking through, I don't want to take too much time, but if you guys would like to sit down, I'm totally fine with it. I mean, anytime you guys want to contact
So
me.
you don't want to have any questions?
Yeah.
Or maybe Roxanne?
When would this be offered and would parents be notified when a student was involved in the class?
This would be offered, hopefully in January. I'd like to start as soon as possible. Because what's happening is the Tennessee grad student, they got the grant they're waiting on. They're kind of waiting on us to say, hey, yeah, we're going to use you, before they write up their plan on how they're going to budget that funding.
I mean, like during the regular school day, it's offered.
And we want, what Mindy is really looking at is implementing it starting in January. So it is really important that you approve it as soon as possible so that she can get with UT, let them know that it has been approved so that they can do their budgeting, get with those graduate students in here, get with the administrators of the school to determine what part of the school day does this fit in. I believe it's 20 hours through the semester, so it's once a week, maybe a little bit more than a week. And absolutely, yes, the parents would be notified. There'd be some sort of flyer that would go home so the parents have the information of what curriculum is being used and the intention for the curriculum.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are there any requirements for us? It's just a simple yes or no.
Basically, guys, I just want to make sure you guys are on board for sure about this.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 19, discuss board approval for ESSER 2.0 and ESSER 3.0 recognition.
Okay, it is required that we upload evidence that the board approved the ESSER form, I listed September the 8th as the board meeting date of approval because that's the date that you all approved the budget amendments to accept. So we just need approval for Mr. Gibbs and myself to sign it.
Any questions? If not, moving to item 20, discuss accepting credit card payments at Union County High School. Rachel Francis and Megan Zielinski.
We are looking to get board approval to accept credit cards at the high school or in our school store and through our school bank, which handles parking passes, yearbooks, prom tickets, football tickets, sometimes other sports tickets, numerous other things. And I have Megan Zielinski here with me. She's with First Century Bank, and our bank at the school is run through First Century Bank. So
We met with Nathan from Bank Card, and that's who we refer to through First Century. They're a third-party merchant. They would help facilitate getting the credit card system set up for them to be able to accept payments that way.
Two questions. How would fees be managed? And second question, how would the board be, I guess, relieved of any potential liabilities? What am I trying to say? I guess those were not only fraud, but just personal information.
I can talk a little bit about the fees. We did a walkthrough at Alcoa High School through their school store, and I contacted the store, the people that run school stores in Knox County. And generally what is done is the fees are added on to the purchase. And sometimes depending, they may be able to answer, yeah, we can do like a flat, like a quarter, and everything's pretty much the same price in our school store. Everything's pretty much $2. So depending on what that fee is, we can say if you're using a debit or a credit card, it's a 25-cent upcharge, or whatever we decide that that actual fees is. And we would do that also for yearbook payments, parking passes, that sort of thing.
Sure. Would the card provider be responsible for any identity theft or information that could get lost?
That might be a next question. As far as what I've experienced with Bank Card, though, it's the same as any other credit card type terminal that you would dispute with your bank, or however you would dispute any other way, just because they're just facilitating like the terminal itself, just letting you be able to set up to accept.
Hello. Yes, initially when we get it set up, we go through the steps to not only be connected to your internet and get with your IT people, but we keep you within PCI compliance, which is a firewall to help protect from those situations occurring.
Lucy?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any concerns about this through the finance office, or as a whole, we accept credit cards throughout the county in certain departments?
We don't take credit cards as far as payments, so all we have is credit cards that we use out in retail. But we do not have any credit card accepting.
Well, like the trustee's office or,
That's done through the trustee's office. That doesn't
you
go
don't have
through the
any
finance
concerns with that,
office.
with those offices or anything like that?
We don't have anything that actually rolls through the finance office.
Any other questions?
Has there been an increase in request or the water?
It's everything, yeah. We definitely will have more income, more profit through the store and through, at the school in general, if we accept it. We are asked every day. People, or kids especially, are just not carrying cash. Everything, that they all have debit cards.
And that's part of how I agree with them too, because we're encouraging them in high school to open a bank account with these lower limits that they can use as a student checking account, and they're also given access to a debit card with lower limits attached to those debit cards as well, but that's their asset asking us, and we can't use it at school, but we have it through this account. So it's just giving them a little more accessibility, but it's also kind of designed to be in a safe way.
Ms. Stackhouse, any concerns that you could think of, we should ask about?
Yeah, lots of them, but this is the first I've heard of this proposal. I mean, who at the school will be taking the credit card? Are we going to be bonded? What's the risk of embezzlement? What's the risk of stealing someone's credit card number and the security code and using it? I'm not sure I understand the process, and I'm not sure I understand who will be handling the credit card transactions. Are they employees of the school system? What's our risk of loss? And I understand that the bank might have protections and firewalls, but do we? And how are we going to protect this information? I've got a lot of questions, actually.
Would it be possible for us to work against it through Ms. Stackhouse to try to make sure all the concerns are covered and all the potential risks are accounted for?
I can address a little of that. When students come into the school store to buy a Coke, they would swipe their card and put it in the room. My students would not ever have their card. If they were, say, paying for a yearbook, that would go through our school bank. I'm there most of the time. That would probably be me. But again, they would be swiping their card, just like if they went to the convenience store and bought a candy bar. So I don't think there would be any opportunity for anyone to steal a credit card number or a 3-digit code or any of that information.
Is there going to be a contract with the bank?
No, I just referred to that card. It would be directly through you guys in your account. And we discussed possibly setting up a point of sale just to help sort the income line items just for kind of as a people to sort out easier. But I'm really here just in support of them accepting it because I work with them through the school bank.
Personally, I like the thought of it as long as, but I don't know all the ramifications and details, so we'd like to make sure we got all the potential risk and liabilities accounted for. So maybe we can add this to our next meeting agenda, follow on. Do you have something else you want to add?
I was just going to answer, there is no binding as far as contractual agreements. So to take that into consideration. And also, I like to refer to it as a bubble wrap, working with these very secure processors. We like to refer to it as a bubble wrap when these transactions take place. Very safe and secure. And yeah.
This is just going to be for the school store, correct?
Well,
Or you're going to try to utilize it for sporting events, other areas?
we also talked about that would be another benefit, that it would, the school bank and the school store are technically separate entities. So we would take it in the bank, we would take it in the store. We have the potential to take it for anything, but I handle most of the money that comes through the high school. Really, nobody's paying for anything in the office. If we wanted to use it in the future for sporting events, we could also we would have that option. That's not really on the forefront, but if that is something that we decided to do. At one time during COVID, we did sell, I know at least football tickets online. Right. So we do have the option to do that.
I think it's a good idea to work through the process of getting set up. Fix the data. Or our attorney going out of it, make sure it's done very well.
Once we have the infrastructure, it would be nothing to add it. You know, we could take them for people coming to basketball games. We could do it for football games, anything, anywhere we take it money.
We're going to renew this in December.
Yes, you're exactly right. It can be as in-depth as you would like it, depending on the type of setup that we provide or that you all may choose. A lot of times we're able to provide things for free, as free placement, like a terminal. And then you can, like I said, you can get into some spending if you choose. Another great aspect of doing this, we talked about a little bit, would be keeping up with it. They had some questions about how we keep up. So we could put a merchant ID number, we would refer to it as, so for yearbooks, concessions, whatever category. And that way, for those needs, you will be able to just glance at a merchant ID number and be able to see what's taking place, get your summary reports, there's online dashboards, there's many options, so can eliminate yearly fees, annual fees when we get set up as well, being not, the school board, but yeah, did you tell them about the class fee?
No.
Okay.
Very good, thank you all.
Thank you.
Look forward to taking the details.
Perfect, thank you.
We're going to item number 21, other discussion, substitute teacher representative, discuss pay increase for substitute teachers.
I believe it'll be Ms. Gay first.
Hi. The South Union County only had like a $3 a day raise since 2013. And probably beyond that, that's when I started. But it's gotten increasingly harder to sub. You take a job for a certain teacher, you get through school, they change you to another job. And it's just a lot of stress. We don't really have any guidance. The new subs that come in, one reason why we don't have very many subs is because there's nobody training them. They come in, there's nobody to show them what to do, where to go, how to do it. We do a webinar online, but that's all the rules and regulations. It's not anything to do with what you do with the classroom. So I think that's one reason why you lose your subs, is because they have no direction. But the pay is a big deal. The state average is $99 a day. We make $65 a day. And that's another reason why we don't get subs. I think a lot of kids out of high school could sub if it was worth the pay. It's just, we're kind of left out of the system. We're not included in any of the school stuff. We're not informed of anything that's going on. We get to school and we know what's going on when we get there. It's just like we're kind of left out of it. So it's just a really hard job for us. And I just think we deserve a little bit of pay.
Nancy, any thoughts?
It would be something we would have to go into the budget and look and see. I do think it is worthwhile to pay our substitute teachers as well as we can. Of course, we will look at the budget and we'll see what we can come up with from where.
When we're doing the budget process this past year, when we're doing pay increases or evaluations, why weren't they included in that whole process? Does anybody know? We came back several different meetings through the process to add, we left some off and added to them. Were they the only area that was left off? Or
I really regrets that because the budget was pretty much completed when I was installed as interim.
This would be my chances that was anywhere in the calculation during the budget process.
In the budget process, it was not discussed. We have the amount of the company that we hired to handle the substitute teachers, and we went with that amount again. Like Barney said, it would be
So do you
something.
contract with
I'm sorry.
do you contract with somebody to do the substitute? Do they separate?
We just use the same rate that we had last year.
The rate comes from you, and we work for an outside company. That's why we have no direction. They're in Nashville. We never see them. We talk to them on the phone, that's it. And that's why we're kind of struggling.
And actually, I was not aware of that until tonight. That,
You were?
I was not aware of that until tonight. I was thinking that their company took care of their employees, so that's something we definitely need to look into.
It's been several years since the board did take action some years ago using a third-party provider. And I vaguely recall, at least one or two of the benefits being, maybe an ease of communication, coordination. I guess I'm wondering, we're not having answers tonight, but I'm wondering how successful that's been, or if it's been what we thought it would be.
I know one of the big selling points was they guaranteed a 95% fill rate. Of course, that was pre-COVID. And I think that's drastically fallen off in recent years. But
Well, every day I get an email from our company telling me the absences. Some days there'll be 25 unfilled jobs in Union County. Some days there's only 2 or 3, but almost every single day there's unfilled jobs. And if you go there for one teacher, some of us choose not to do certain jobs, and that's our prerogative because we are just part-time. But you can accept a job from one of your teachers that you use Excel for, and then go to the school and they will move you to another job. And you have the option of walking out, but that's not good for you. It's not good for anyone. But, that kind of thing happens almost daily to all of us. And it's,
Do all these other school districts use the same company? Like Granger County? we got-
Granger did use them. They hired them at the same time we did, but Granger got rid of them.
Granger's using them again. They picked them back up.
They did pick them up.
Because I guess
There are
that's one
several
of my-
counties across the state that use Staff Easy. They've been very beneficial to our county, in my opinion, and I do believe our subs deserve an increase.
Right, and that's what I guess they're working for the same company. The pay difference between each county is, when you take Grant County,
Are we paying a fee to the company in addition to the rate that's indicated in the board materials?
we are. but I don't
Yes,
know
we
the
do,
nature.
and that's to provide them with benefits through Staff
you take like
Easy.
Grant County, non-certified 7469, and certified 110, we're worth 6528 across the board. So obviously, I think we need to adjust.
If you go to Holmes County, it's $100.
Right. I didn't know, we set the rate on that.
You do.
I think this is he's aware of that, so I think this needs to be looked at.
Missy, what's the percentage that we pay Staff Easy? Do you know?
I don't have that with me
Do
tonight.
we just pay a flat contracted rate then?
No, it is a percentage. I know that, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I can look that up tomorrow and get that information to you.
I do know as well, they have an incentive program that they implemented during COVID, that if someone subs X amount of days a month, they get a bonus. Because I get the sub invoices, I have to.
If you serve 10 days, you get a $50 bonus. If you
Yeah.
serve 20 days, you get a $100 bonus. But with the shutdowns and spring break and fall break and, it's hard to get your 10 days now. Yeah. Bonus is rare to get, especially 20-day bonus.
I think there were a dozen that got bonuses on the last invoice that I had to approve.
And those invoices come monthly, right?
It's every so many days.
Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Also, they've been coming once a month to our office trying to recruit. They hired a local lady, Miss Carla White, she lives in county, that works to help recruit subs. They hired her probably 3-4 months ago. So I know they're trying to increase the amount of subs that we have available.
And we as subs have never been told that. We were not aware that there was someone in this county that we worked for. I knew that there was a new person named Carla White that was sending us jobs, but I didn't know she was here.
And you said if you don't feel that you all have enough training before you all are put into a classroom.
You're hired to, we did like 12 webinars, you have to go online and do webinars. There's some things like for the IEPs and stuff like that you need to know, and all kinds of just regular technical things like blood pathogens and, you know, things that you should know. The things that Ronnie taught us in the beginning. And, but if you were there when Ronnie was doing it. But it's,
a few years ago.
it has nothing to do with in-class training. You're just thrown in a classroom. All teachers should have a role for you, a lesson plan, and all that. And you go in a classroom and you don't know what to do, who's even supposed to be in your classroom. There's just a lot of things that are missing in there. The middle school is great. They have emergency bags so that if you don't have the rolls laying right on the desk, you can go in an emergency bag and get them. And Miss Carter at MES is really good about making their, you know, having them, they have subfolders. And some teachers are really great at it. It's just hit and miss whether or not you're going to know what you're going to do that day. Sometimes I come to different schools, I have to go find a guidance counselor to print me a roll for my classes. And you know, how can you go in a classroom and not know who's supposed to be there?
Now, Susan, you stated that you feel like this company, Staff Easy, has been super beneficial to the county. Can you offer those arguments up?
Can I what?
Can you offer the information that makes you feel that way? That you're saying that it's beneficial for us. How do you feel that they've been beneficial for the county when you guys subs, you know, say that they don't, kids that feel should be, trained thoroughly enough, or the training is effective?
I feel like those are concerns that she needs to bring to Staff EZ as well, because that's her employer. We need to sit down, maybe there's a refresher training. I don't know how Staff EZ, like if they do an annual training to refresh people, or if it's just the initial training. Those are things I don't know. Ronnie may know some of that since he did sub-training prior to, and you may have been involved when we brought Staff EZ in. I wasn't in this particular role when that occurred. But I do know it saves the school secretaries, the principals from having to call and find people. It's automated, so they go in, they put their day in. Of course, the more notice that you have that someone's going to be out, the more they can do to prepare. But if someone lets you know at 7:50 they're not going to be there at 8 o'clock, of course you're scrambling. You're going to have to get that role. You're going to have to, you know, come up with a plan. So.
Can you meet with the provider? Should give us a report back at our next board meeting?
A lot of the teachers are great at coming in, say if you go in third grade, the other third grade teachers will come in and, you know, give you direction on what to do, but it's not always that way. And I think that's what scares off a lot of the new subs, is that they just, you know, they just feel lost. Nobody's helping them. They don't know the school. They don't know where the classroom is. You know, they just don't know anything about it.
Well, thank you for bringing these things to our attention.
If they can all stay over to involved in the teachers to the family to.
If I can have a second, believe it or not, I can speak on this a little bit. 300 or 400 years ago, when I first started in the school system, one of my first jobs was calling sales. And what we did is we came in the morning, we found out what teacher wasn't going to be there, and we were on the phone trying to get subs. What this company does, what our organization does, is they have what's called an extra board, which the railroads have used for years. If the teacher wants to say, I'm not going to be there Thursday, they approve it, their leave. They put it on what's we call an extra board, and then any of these subs can claim that job. So the next morning, subs are there, there's no delay in class. We used to have to take this class when a teacher, called in sick, what the flu will say, and move them over to another class until I could find a sub to get there. And believe it or not, she was one of them too. We've both been here a long time. But I'm going to tell you about this lady right here. This lady taught my daughter as much as any teacher. This lady is a quality. The days, Ronnie, you remember when we went to school, we had a sub that broke a paddle over the desk? That's what we had to deal with. Then you went through a few years where subs came in were just glorified babysitters. I put this lady right here and the others like her up against a lot of teachers. When she comes in, they are going to behave and they are going to learn something better. So what I'm saying is, with this company, if we'll say Lisa Carter, principal of America, she is not happy with her services, Lisa can technically fire her from that school just by simply telling that company, we don't want her anymore, and they'll never hire her for that school again. So that's things like that is what this company does. And back in the chaos days when I was doing it, like I said, 100 years ago, you were scrambling trying to get any sub that you could possibly get.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Dr. Nixon?
Yes.
I would ask when you meet the staff busy, if there's a possibility that we may look at a graduated scale as well, as we're talking about pricing. We have a difficult time getting substitutes in our high needs classrooms. A lot of times folks are intimidated to go into classrooms where you might have feeding, you might have hygiene issues that come into play as well. And so it's a real struggle for us. So I think that if we could entertain that as well, because the folks that will take those jobs and want to do that should be compensated for it.
Thank you. And is the parent here that wanted to discuss backpacks at Union County High School? I don't think I see her.
That concludes our workshop. The board wants to roll into our meeting quickly. So we need to really, all right, let's roll it. On into Alan. Let's start with the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brad. Would you lead us in prayer to start?
Kind of gracious Heavenly Father God, we thank you for this day. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here tonight. God, we ask you to bless us, Lord, help us to make the right decisions for the county. Thank you, Lord, for this board, for the freedom of God we have. Yes, in your sweet holy name, Lord, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Brad. I'll now call this meeting to order. County School Board. Item number 2, is there a motion to approve the agenda? The motion, is there a second? The motion, second, all in favor, say aye. Carries. Item 3, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? A motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, is there a motion to approve the budget amendments and transfers? Got a motion to approve, is there a second? Second. Got a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion items? If not, Nancy, will you do a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Buck? Mr. Collins? Mr. Cotter? 4. Mr. Gibbs? 4. Mr. Green? 4. Mr. Collins? And Mr. Reed? 4.
Carries. Item number 5, defer on taking action on 5B. But is there a motion to approve or disapprove the contracts 5A and 5C?
Motion approved.
Got a motion on the floor, is there a second? Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, is there a motion to approve the purchase of one of the sound system options for our school board meetings?
I will entertain a motion to add approval.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the APCO system as proposed. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. We need to do a roll call vote on that.
We can. Ms. Bud? Mr. Collins? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Gill?
4.
Mr. Green? Ms. Long? And Mr. Reed?
Motion carries. Item number 7, is there a motion to approve the teacher tenure? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Dr. Nancy's recommendation, we're going to skip action on item number 8. Moving to item number 9, is there a motion to approve the Tennessee Risk Management Safety Grant application?
Motion approved. Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, unless there's a motion to approve or disapprove, I think we're going to defer that and consider it later. Number 11. Moving to item number 12. I don't think we've got action tonight, but there's some additional research on that. And then item 13, is there a motion to approve the LEA compliance report?
Motion approved.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14, is there a motion to approve the action for policy 5.200?
Motion.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, we're going to skip for further consideration in the future. Item 16, is there a motion to approve the 23-24 school calendar? Motion. Is there a second? Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Moving to item 17, is there a motion to approve the iCare proposal to teach drug awareness to 5th graders? Got a motion by Andrew, is there a second? Second by Brad, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 18, approve or disapprove board approval form for ESER 2.0 and ESER 3.0. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, item number 19, we're going to defer that until we can do just a little more research on the risk and potential liabilities, bring that back. Gets us down to item 20. Is there any other business that needs to be discussed? Do not know of any, so hearing none, we'll move to item number 21. Would it work for the board to have our next policy workshop on Tuesday, November 29th? Presumably in the, we've got to stay here at the library. 6 p.m. Is that what it's been a long time since we did that last. And then our next regular workshop meeting would be at Big Ridge Elementary. A little off cycle again, but on Thursday, December 15th. And if there's no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?